Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. One of the craziest part about changing your sexless relationship into an amazing, fulfilling relationship is all to do with the sphere of influence within your relationship. More generally, most people that are struggling within this space or this type of find themselves in this type of relationship where there's no intimacy at all. Generally, 9 times out of 10 is that outside of the house they are crushing it. Everything's amazing. They're making really good money, or at least doing really well. But when it comes to the house, the sphere of influence, or at least the potency in terms of influence, decreases because you're not doing the right things in order to maintain that sphere of influence. Now, in this episode, I'm going to try and tackle those three things. There's three things that you might want to be doing in order to get back into that sphere of influence, and then also by doing that, be able to be thriving within your tribe, or at least your village. And I like to call it a village, your house a village, because if you think of it, if that's that perspective, it changes the way you protect your time in order to, because if your time is taken by your business or your work, and you leave your village to too long, something else is going to come and encroach and attack and destroy your village. So when you think of it from that perspective, you become even more protective of your time, so you can be there on your village and be the one that is a protector. So I'm going to go over these three things that are going to be really, really, really important in order to maintain that sphere of influence. One of them, the first one, is your decision making. Most guys, they make decisions based off of in reaction to what would make her happy. Generally, decisions are always going to be contested, and sometimes they're not going to be always popular. But sometimes you understand that sometimes you make decisions based on the risk that's involved, and sometimes you also want an outcome. And with any decision, there's always going to be risk, and you have to be willing to go through the risk in order to actually get the outcome. Most guys, they look at the outcome, look at the risk, and then focus on the risk and never make a decision. Therefore, your leadership comes to question because you're not making the right decisions that actually make you grow as a couple. And you can see now how crazy it is when it comes to the lack of sex within a relationship. It isn't based off of how you look and how many six packs you, how many abs you've got, how much money you make. It's all about how much influence you can make. Because sometimes, again, your decision making is affected by the fact that you don't have sex. So therefore, you will not take the risk because you don't want to further go into a sexless relationship. So you can see how this massively impacts your ability to change things within your relationship, because you're not making the right decisions that cause your relationship go to the next level, or not just your relationship but also your family to go to the next level. And this is massive. If you can master this, and I think December time I did a series on decision making, and if you could go back to that, you actually see how you make quality decisions and how you actually look at them from a wider perspective rather than just be in a reactive state of making decisions. So that's one. The other one is your ability to withstand pressure. So as a family, you're always going to have stress, and really stress is a tool. Now, stress generally happens because we either have a decision that we have to make, we delay the decision, and therefore whatever we're supposed to do, because we know that there's that risk involved, we don't make the decision. And like I said, just what I've said before, we let things slide. And sometimes it's because we don't have time, we cannot deal with it. But when that stress comes on, whether it be financial, whether it be the kids are acting up, or whether just life is hitting at you, your boss is acting up, all of that, your ability to handle stress is massive. Because most guys, they can't handle stress. They then, and I'm guilty of this one. So I'm not saying it like I'm some sort of. You start creating habits in your life that in order to try and escape that stress, they're not dealing with it. So when, for example, for me, sometimes my diet will go out of the way, and then my training will go out of the way, and I just start eating a lot of rubbish. So when I'm stressed, I start gaining a lot of weight. So, and really, for most people that you see around the world, anybody that's obese, especially in the first world countries, generally they're obese because just as they haven't had the real coping mechanisms for dealing with stress or making the right decisions, because they can't make decisions based off the way they deal with stress. So the ability to deal with stress, because what I'm trying to say here is that your ability to deal with stress can build calm in the camp or in your village. Like I was saying, that the more calm you are, if the boat is about to sink because there's lots of waves going on, if you're calm as a captain, your crew will be calm and will work in a methodical way to get things back in order. So if you are panicked with the stress that's going on, your wife looks at you and then thinks, whoa, if this guy is stressed, I should get stressed, and then everyone is stressed, then it's a stress fest, and generally that dries up any intimacy whatsoever. So the final and third one, which is probably the one that's going to be a kick in the nuts, is definitely is doing 1 and 2 correctly, but never having to do, and you never have to do things in order to rekindle things. What I'm trying to say here is that most guys think we're not having intimacy, we haven't had intimacy for a month, so I need to do something in order to get it to things got back together. So usually the first one that people resort to is date night. If things are already shit in your house, date night isn't going to save you. It's only going to make things worse. Give me a second, because this is why it's a kick in the teeth. Because you go and then you do this amazing thing. Maybe you might have sex, you might reconnect, feel connected. If you haven't built the systems around your house to make your relationship amazing, you're generally going to default to where you were. Sometimes devote directly straight to where you were, but your expectations of where you want your relationship to be will be a lot higher when you get back. So therefore, it will feel like you've fallen even lower, even though you're in the same place. It's hard to explain without visual representation, but basically, if you go out and then you do this amazing thing where you feel amazing, you feel connected, you feel great, your expectation in your mind thinks, okay, everything is now good. When we go back home, everything is going to be good. You default back to the way you were before, where things were shit. But because you've got this expectation, it will actually feel like you've gone 10 steps back. So doing things in order to change the relationship is probably, when I say doing things, I mean doing some sort of acts of service, date night, romantic getaway, like these big gesture type things are the worst things that you can do in order to change your sex. Like, please don't do that. If you do it, it's just going to take you 10 steps back. What you need to do is do 1 and 2, your decision making, how you handle stress. Those are huge. When you can do that, it actually will change the momentum in terms of your relationship. So hopefully that's been powerful for you guys, because I like to share this, and it's something that I'm getting excited more about when I'm making this podcast episode, because the amount of messages I've got where guys are just saying thank you for making the messages, absolutely appreciate it. If you want to learn more or send me a message, question, or just maybe your thoughts, go to thriving_tribesmen on Instagram, and just send us a DM. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.